This house was 6,000 feet from ground zero. Other homes that were closer were incinerated.
And the air is heavy and humid. Until now, the enemy has held sway here.
We knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty. And to impress him, takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
The sky is falling and the world is ending. We've heard it all before, but this time it might just be true. Why? Because Baba Vanga said it. And considering that she accurately predicted the 2022 droughts and floods, the Twin Tower disaster, the Kirsch disaster, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and the death of Indira Gandhi and her own death, I'm inclined to believe her. Right before she died, she made the prediction that the world would come to an end in the year 5079. Of course, this comes after the resolution of the world hunger crisis in 2025, something to immediately look forward to, and organ transplants that extend the average lifespan to at least 100 years old in the year 2046. Oh, and of course, communism's return in 2076. But it appears that even with time travel becoming a thing in the year 2304, the world's end is set in stone for the 6th millennia.
Baba Vanga also predicted that things would be getting pretty bad for Europe starting in 2024, mostly due to rises in terror attacks, leading to a change of power in Europe and eventually leading to many Europeans being displaced. I remember first bringing this up in a video months back, and it's actually kind of eerie talking about it now with the recent incidents in Moscow. Is it just a complete coincidence, or could it be connected? Share your thoughts down below as always. It is kind of creepy though that Baba Vanga even predicted there would be an attempt on the president of Russia's life in 2024, which is of course Vladimir Putin. Apparently the attacker will be someone from Russia though. Now this is yet to be seen, but if that does happen, I might start second guessing how I feel about this whole Baba Vanga having seen into the future thing.
Speaking of those attacks, James, Baba Vanga has predicted that many of them will actually end up utilizing biological weaponry, which is completely terrifying because biological weapons are generally airborne, meaning that you don't need to be caught in any kind of direct line of attack to be infected by them. All you really have to do is breathe in. Have you ever heard of anthrax, botulism, smallpox, the plague? Well, each and every one of those have been used as biological weapons in the past. And while the symptoms have varied, the results have remained the same. Mass death, caused by either poisoning or the rapid spread of disease. I really hope Baba got this one wrong, and most things on the list wrong, because I really don't feel like being scared of leaving my house again, due to fear of death by inhalation.
Alright, so these last couple points definitely play into her predictions of political upheavals said to soon start taking place. One of Baba Vanga's famous prophecies told of a, quote, strong dragon that will seize humanity. What is this dragon exactly? Well, many have interpreted this to mean China, that the nation's power will continue to strengthen on a global level, completely changing the power dynamics of the world. And will things go smoothly? I mean, probably not. The idea here is that there will be another world war before the dust settles and power has changed hands. And I don't know, I think this could easily just be paranoid fear-mongering, but it's not like war never happens either. So hold on to your butts I guess.
Let's look on the bright side. An uprising of terror, biological weapons deployment, political upheaval, which obviously results in the inevitable economic crash. Did I say bright side? I meant to say we're screwed. As if the economy wasn't already far gone enough, Baba has predicted that things will only get worse as the year progresses onwards. Rising debts, mass inflation, heightened mortgages, and an increase in poverty are apparently all safe bets for our 2024 bingo cards, which makes sense, and I honestly don't actually think we needed Baba for this one. I mean, come on, there's like 5 major wars already going on, and a crap ton of international conflict and tension. I'm actually scared though about how this year is going to progress. I mean, we could be looking at lost access to credit, shutdown of banks, and demand for goods far outweighing our supply. I know this is extremist, but you know, that's what you're here for. And for those of you feeling really good about recently securing some appreciating investments, you'll probably be waiting just a bit longer than you expected on those returns, if they even come at all, that is.
Baba Vanga also predicted first contact with aliens very soon, possibly even in 2024. Now, and I know many claim that aliens already are among us. I can't say for certain, I've never seen an alien, but the prediction is really referring to alien contact being a globally recognized thing, like undeniable. Now, will this be good or bad? That remains to be seen, but we're definitely seeing an increase in UFO sightings and acknowledgements from the government that unidentified flying objects are a thing, so this one actually seems kinda likely. I, for one, very much hope that first contact with aliens happens. I'd really like having the option of just talking and conversing with something that isn't human for once, that can actually talk back. I mean, you talk to your pets all the time, right? Unless, of course, aliens turn out to be ill-intentioned, but, you know, plenty of ill-intentioned humans out there as well. I think if aliens did turn up, we'd be far too distracted dealing with them to be raging war on each other. It might still lead to the destruction of the entire human race if the aliens decided to attack, but at least we wouldn't be attacking each other for once, and that would be kind of nice.
Okay guys, this list has been kind of depressing so far. I mean, aliens are pretty cool, but one of the points literally outlined the possibility of falling into a Great Depression. But not all of Baba Vanga's predictions are bad. In fact, this one's pretty good. A cure for both cancer and Alzheimer's disease has been predicted by Baba Vanga. I'm really hoping this one is true and that most of the other ones aren't, because this would be an amazing medical advancement that, in my opinion, really should have and could have and probably did come sooner, but the pharmaceutical industry is kind of greedy. So, with that being said, these treatments will most likely be incredibly expensive, but I'm trying to stay positive. Earlier this year, the Russian government put out a statement saying, "We have come very close to the creation of so-called cancer vaccines and immunomodulatory medicines of a new generation." And they added, "I hope that they will be effectively used as methods of individual therapy." This is great news, but at the same time, considering the ongoing conflict, I wouldn't be holding my breath anytime too soon.
Next we have Baba Vanga's Mars prophecies. So, will the stuff we've listed so far wipe us out completely? Well, the 5079 thing seems like the real end, but most of the other stuff might just put us on the brink of destruction. Because further into the future, we may form a colony on Mars. This colony will grow to such power, though, that it may become a superpower of its own, demanding independence from Earth, leading to a conflict that will rage between 2170 to 2256. A very oddly specific prophecy, one that me and you will likely never actually get to see play out unless human life expectancy drastically improves over the coming decades. A cancer vaccine might help with that. I certainly hope humans will have gotten beyond petty squabbling by the time we've started building colonies on other planets, though, but unfortunately, I don't know, I wouldn't put it past us.
Cyber attacks are nothing new, but they might be getting a whole new meaning if Baba Vanga's prediction for an uprising in cyber criminality is true. Baba said that in 2024, not only would we be seeing an increase in common cyber attacks, such as phishing scams, ransomware, malware, and information stealing, but also an increase in some much more serious offenses as well. Baba predicted that the targets of these cyber attacks are going to get a lot more communal, with attackers going after communities and nations rather than the individual. She believes that the main targets will be power grids and water treatment plants, which of course lines up with all of the other predictions of chaos and terror, as these attacks would substantially increase threats to national security. Honestly, I feel like there's just no winning these days, unless of course you find yourself a plot of land in the middle of nowhere next to a source of fresh water, obviously. Oh, and get yourself equipped with an in-house distillation and irrigation system and solar panels, and you have to have a farm full of animals and crops to feed the animals and a whole bunch of other survival stuff. Am I saying we're screwed? Well, I'm not saying we're not.
And we're gonna finish off the list with a terrible global disease. The joy. Yeah, this would be my least favorite way for the world to end. At least with aliens and like war, you can see your attackers. Disease is so much more insidious. You can't actually see it coming. You can't fight it. Apparently, sometime this year, according to Baba Vanga anyway, Donald Trump is going to contract a terrible illness that will cause him brain trauma and deafness. Whether or not this is referring to the same illness that will sweep its way across the globe remains to be seen. All I do know is that if Trump starts complaining about not being able to hear Sleepy Joe, I'm just gathering up a bunch of canned food, I'm driving as far away as I can, and I'm digging an underground bunker to protect myself from this disease, whatever biological weapons are going to unleash themselves on the planet, whatever alien species is coming to crash the party, or whatever powerful dragon country is going to swoop across the earth to take it all over.
First up, we have Baba Vanga's prediction of Oumuamua, an asteroid being sent to Earth by forces that are beyond our world. Baba Vanga made the prediction before her death on August 11th of 1996, which is insane considering the fact that Oumuamua wasn't discovered until October 19th of 2017. Oumuamua is the first interstellar object to be detected passing through our solar system. Interstellar meaning that it originated in a solar system other than our own. It is debated whether or not the object is an asteroid or a meteor, but what is clear to scientists is that this foreign object is huge, 400 meters long, and getting closer to Earth each and every day. Baba Vanga predicts that one day the object will collide with Earth, but not only that. She believes that it was sent by aliens to assess human cells on Earth, which is quite fitting when you take into consideration the English translation of Oumuamua, which means a messenger from afar arriving first. Could this asteroid possibly be the foreshadowing of alien life arriving on our planet? Let me know what you think down below. Next up, we have Baba Vanga's prediction of a lot of major earthquakes happening in 2024, with some taking place in places they generally wouldn't occur. Sound familiar? Just 4 days ago, on Friday, April 5th, New York was hit by a massive earthquake that had a magnitude of 4.8 and caused the Statue of Liberty to shake profusely. It lasted about 30 seconds, and local resident Charita Walcock described the feeling as being like in the center of a drum circle. The last time New York was hit by a large earthquake was in 2011 with a much higher magnitude, albeit of 5.8. What's really strange though is that generally earthquakes occur where two tectonic plates meet, so how the hell did one occur smack dab in the middle of a tectonic plate in New York? I'm not a scientist, so I really have no clue, but what I do know is that Baba Vanga's prediction is looking a lot scarier when you take that fact into perspective. Not only that, but this year alone, just 3 months and a few days in, we've already seen 143 6.0 to 6.9 magnitude earthquakes, 1,580 5.0 to 5.9, and 15,817 4.0 to 4.9 earthquakes. And the Earth is cracking, so not overly promising for the future, if you ask me. Next up, we have Baba Vanga's prediction of Earth's orbit changing, which will lead us to an increase in global climate change and extreme glacial defrosting. This is both new and not new. Why? Well, because we have known for a long time that over time the Earth's orbit does slowly change due to gravitational pulls in the atmosphere that cause the orbit to become either more circular or elliptical, which is basically just a fancy word for oval because the word ovular was already taken. Anyways, the existence of changes within Earth's orbit was discovered in 1989 by scientific expert Jacques Lascar, after Baba Vanga had made her initial prediction. Fast forward to 2024, while the Earth's orbit has barely changed, it has changed, and we are experiencing glacial defrosting at a rate that has never been observed before, which is pretty nerve-wracking, especially when you consider this next point. Baba Vanga predicted the discovery of a frozen virus in Siberia in 2022 that would eventually lead to another global pandemic. In 2022, a group of French scientists discovered, studied, and revived an ancient virus known as the zombie virus that they found buried in a frozen lake in Russia. The virus was discovered as a result of, guessed it, melting ice in the Antarctic region. And after tens of thousands of years of the ancient virus lying dormant, scientists thought it would be a good idea to revive it. Really? Lucky for us, this particular virus only attacks single-celled organisms, but who's to say the next one they find and decide to carelessly reanimate won't lead to the destruction of life as we know it? Say it with me, we do not reanimate things that could kill us. We don't. Well, according to Baba Vanga, did predict that sometime in 2024, Putin's reign over Russia would end after meeting his death at the hands of someone close to him, perhaps someone working on one of his political or military teams. According to Vladimir Putin himself, at this point in time he has already survived 6 separate assassination attempts on his life since 2002. While that may very well be the case, according to Baba Vanga, it is unlikely that he will survive many more. Moving a bit further into the future, we have the prediction that 23 years after Europe becomes Islamic in 2043, the United States of America will reach a major milestone in weapons technology. In 2066, the US will create a weapon called the Environmental Destructor that will freeze everything in its path. Whether or not this means that the United States will have created technology that allows them to act like Frozone from The Incredibles, literally causing everything in its path to turn to ice, or if the weapon simply just destroys areas causing their ability to support life to become frozen in time, remains to be seen. Personally, I don't like the sound of either, and again, like most predictions on this list, I really hope she got this one wrong. But this one, however, I really hope she got right, as Baba Vanga has predicted that world hunger will be over by the year 2025, so that's coming up real soon. How? I have no clue whatsoever, but in an incredibly unstable world with an incredibly unstable future, it's nice to hear this kind of thing coming out of the mouth of a woman who has, in the past, predicted the future with over 80% accuracy. While world hunger has gone down significantly since the 1980s, we still have a long way to go in solving the issue worldwide. Increased agricultural productivity and the promotion of sustainable food systems will most likely be integral components in reaching this goal, but if we want it done by 2025, like Baba Vanga predicts, we better act fast. Okay, this next point is pretty positive too. By 2046, Baba Vanga has predicted that organ donations and organ transplant technologies will become so incredibly advanced that they will expand the average lifespan to more than 100 years, which means that in 2046 and onwards, centennials, people who live to or past 100 years of age, will become the rule rather than the exception. Considering the incredible advancements we have already made in medicine so far, paired with the prediction of a cure for cancer coming out in 2024, I'm incredibly hopeful. Cautious, but hopeful. Again, these treatments will probably cost upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars, so like I said, cautious, but hopeful. Next up, the return of communism, which Baba Vanga has predicted will take place in the year 2076. The arguments both for and against communism are plenty and constantly changing as the definition of communism changes to adapt advancements in technology, human rights policies, military medicine, etc. So honestly, it's hard to tell whether or not this return of communism will fall under any kind of modern day definition of communism, or how it will play out in a world full of automated labor. So I guess all I have to say is that while Baba Vanga did predict the return of communism, we have no way of knowing what that will look like. I think. And finally, to finish off our list today, we have Baba Vanga's prediction of some pretty major solar activity that could have some pretty serious consequences for Earth. The prediction was set for 2023, and it came true in 2023. On December 15th of 2023, it was reported that a NASA telescope had captured the biggest solar flare the world has seen in years. A solar flare that was responsible for temporarily knocking out radio communications across the globe. The solar flare was accompanied by a massive radio burst that caused a full 2 hours of radio interference in the United States and other areas of the world facing the sun at the time of the solar flare. The event went down in history as being one of the largest solar radio events to ever be recorded. So again, it seems Baba Vanga got it right, which makes me very, very, very nervous. But what do you think? Lucky guess, or was the woman seriously onto something?
Quantum computing. So unlike traditional computers, which use bits that are either 0 or 1, quantum computing uses qubits, which can represent any combination of both 0 and 1 at the very same time. This means they can perform complex calculations much quicker than the computers we use right now. Baba Vanga predicted breakthroughs in this technology playing out in 2024. Now, quantum computing isn't inherently bad, and it's definitely useful for solving complex problems, but there's a dangerous side to this type of technology. The major concern here is its potential ability to break encryption methods that we use day to day. Sensitive data could be leaked with far more ease than any hacker would be able to accomplish. Authentication systems that we have in place now could also become completely obsolete, leading to potential breaches and cyber attacks. More on cyber attacks later in the video, by the way. And at number 9, we have a global economic crisis. Baba Vanga made a prediction that in 2024 the world might face a massive economic crash. This means a lot of money troubles, people losing jobs, businesses struggling to stay open, and it becoming incredibly difficult for many to manage their money. A giant financial storm that could affect how we all live and work. And as to the cause of this economic crisis, well, we're not certain, as these are simply unfounded predictions not based on evidence or anything really tangible. But if some of the stuff coming up on this list really does play out, it won't be much of a surprise why money will be an issue for a large segment of the population. And on top of that, money would be the least of our problems. One possible cause of the global economic downfall could be related to the very next prediction on our list, though. At our number 8 spot, we have a global disease. The prediction here is that there will be a worldwide epidemic similar to that little thing we experienced back in 2020, only this time much worse. During these wonderful couple years where we were in and out of being locked away indoors and wearing masks everywhere we went, there was this idea floating around that maybe this whole thing was preparing us for something bigger, a pandemic that would be more deadly, more contagious, and spread around the world faster than anything we had ever experienced before. Whether this will be some intentional virus spread to enact, political control or something nature will throw at us. If this prediction does end up coming true and we are met with some kind of terrifying super virus, I just really hope we're prepared. There's also a chance that Baba just got our dates wrong and this global infectious disease already swept its way through the population in 2020 and it's all mostly dealt with. It's also possible that her prediction is just completely bogus, so keep your pants on. Next up on the list we have the mysterious disease. Now this prediction directly affects the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. According to old Baba, Trump is going to contract a mysterious illness next year that will cause brain trauma and deafness. Can't help but wonder if this will be the result of the same disease that we just discussed. Sounds pretty awful though. Not sure what the brain damage would entail, but losing your hearing, definitely something I would not wish on anyone. Number 6, a strong dragon will take over the planet. Baba Vanga spoke of a formidable dragon that would rise to prominence, and as cool as it would be for the Earth to be ruled by a winged, fire-breathing monster, she didn't mean dragon in the mythical sense. Instead, this quote-unquote dragon is a symbol of unity and power. This dragon, according to her visions, represents the coming together of Russia, India, and China, three major global players. What she essentially foresaw was the significant geopolitical development where these nations would forge a closer alliance and cooperate, forming a powerful bloc. And while she didn't really delve into the specifics about what this alliance would entail, the implications are pretty clear. The emergence of a powerful force that could totally reshape the political landscape of the world as we know it. This change in power could also potentially lead to another prediction that's been hinted at for 2024, a potential third world war, as said. Not fun to think about. Next up, we have the rise of AI. Apparently in 2024, the use of AI is going to skyrocket, completely changing the world as we know it. Out of pretty much everything on this list, this is something I can totally see happening because it already is. AI is progressing at an alarming rate, learning faster than any living person ever could. It's getting to the point where scientists are actually kind of concerned about AI gaining some form of sentience, and if that happens, we're most likely totally screwed. Not because AI would necessarily be intentionally malevolent and want to destroy us like Skynet, although it totally could, but mainly because it could easily replace us. Human expression, talent, and skill could become a thing of the past. Like, just look how quickly AI has already affected some industries. Writers and actors are on strike, animators and artists are fearing losing their jobs. I find AI really creepy, and I'm just hoping we're gonna find some way of integrating it in a way where it won't completely get out of control. At our number 4 spot, we have first contact with alien life. The Nostradamus of the Balkans predicted that extraterrestrials will finally make themselves known to us next year. Known to the public, anyway, if you're one of those folks who believes aliens are already amongst us. Introducing us to incredible new technology and changing the world as we know it, of course. Now, this could actually be positive. If they turn out to be friendly, this would be awesome. One step closer to that Star Trek world I've always wanted to live in. But if they're not so friendly, yeah, you know. Actually though, gotta say, if there's one way I'd want the world to end, it would be this. I think it'd be pretty cool. Going out battling aliens, be a much more awesome way for humanity to go extinct. Definitely beats the planet being destroyed by a giant meteor or something. That's just kind of boring. Far less heroic. Maybe being invaded by aliens would finally force humanity to come together for once, too, realizing that we're not all that different after all. Sucks we'd need an alien invasion for that to come to fruition, but it is what it is, I guess. Next, we have a rise in natural disasters. Apparently, 2024 is going to be met with a number of crazy disasters, mostly due to climate change. Tsunamis, monsoons, hurricanes, tornadoes, you name it. These disasters are predicted to cause widespread destruction and death. One specific prophecy relates to a powerful tsunami that will apparently hit Asia next year, being the most deadly since 2004. As to exactly where in Asia, not certain. Neither is the prediction, though. It's just that. It's a prediction. So for all the residents of Asia in the audience, don't panic yet. Take this with a grain of salt, a very heavy grain of salt. There's also predicted to be a major earthquake in the Pacific Rim. The shifting of tectonic plates in the Pacific Rim. We can have giant kaiju pop out of the ocean that we'll need to build giant-sized mechs in order to battle against. That would be pretty expensive. Could lead to a global economic collapse. Yeah, you see the dots starting to connect. And at number 2, we have chaos in Europe. Yeah, apparently Europe is going to go through a lot starting in 2024. You folks have some fun years ahead of you if Baba's predictions actually play out. Most of this relates to religious extremists unleashing more attacks on various parts of the continent, targeting both civilians and political leaders alike, one of whom is Vladimir Putin. Apparently someone from Russia is going to attempt to take him out. According to her, in the end, power will completely change hands in Europe. And it's not just that. Her predictions also stated that there would be a complete collapse of Europe's economy. All this will supposedly lead to displacement of many Europeans, with the continent being sparsely populated by 2025. So, word to the wise, you may want to hold off on your European vacations for the next little while, because it looks like things are going to get pretty hairy. Finally, we have a rise in cyber attacks. Vanga's vision of 2024 paints a pretty bleak picture of the digital realm essentially becoming a battlefield, the malicious hackers orchestrating cyber assaults on an unprecedented scale. These attacks will apparently extend far beyond conventional data breaches and phishing attempts. Instead, they'll come about as like the sophisticated and highly disruptive attacks that could compromise critical infrastructure, financial systems, even the fabric of society itself. Vanga hinted that these cyber threats might have geopolitical implications, potentially altering the balance of power in the world as we know it today. There are some predictions that overlap here, as you could probably see. Quantum computing could be a major factor with this increase in cyber attacks, and the change of power on a global scale could be related to that strong dragon mentioned earlier. These cyber attacks could also partially be responsible for how messed up Europe is predicted to get. But I want to close this out with a bit of positivity. First of all, although Baba Vanga has made a number of predictions that have come true, she's also made ones that haven't. And for all the dark stuff here that's said to play out, there's some good stuff too. Apparently we might get incredible medical breakthroughs for things like cancer. We may discover a new form of unlimited clean energy and good things in the years following 2024. So there's always light at the end of the tunnel. All that said, the rising of sea levels. Climate change is something that's talked about a lot and has been a concern for years. A rise in natural disasters is one of the primary predictions by Baba Vanga, said to possibly come to a head in 2024, with a rise in sea levels being a major factor. It's a concerning issue that happens because of things like melting ice in polar regions and the expansion of seawater as it gets warmer. Over the years, the rising water can lead to problems like coastal flooding, erosion, and damage to communities near the coast. It's not something that happens overnight, but it's a slow and steady process. Many coastal areas and low-lying islands are at risk, and people living there might have to move or adapt to deal with higher water levels. Governments and scientists around the world are studying this problem and trying to figure out how to address it. They're looking at ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to slow down the warming of the planet, and also thinking about building stronger defenses like seawalls and flood barriers. At number 9, we have the asteroid. A list of dark predictions with an asteroid involved. Definitely ominous. Fear not though, this one won't be as bad as the one that killed off all the dinosaurs. The prediction doesn't specify exactly where this asteroid will hit or exactly how large it will be, but it's predicted to be powerful and destructive enough to result in a considerable loss of life. But as I said, it doesn't mean the end of the world. Baba Vanga has tons of predictions that go far beyond 2024. In fact, according to her, the world isn't supposed to end until 5079, so we still have some time, depending on whether or not you believe her, of course. The world could totally end far past 5079, or it could end in like 5 minutes. You'd never know. Next on the list, we have unethical surveillance. Now, this is something that's already taking place. We have cameras on us almost everywhere we go, and we may not even know it, but advances in surveillance technology are supposedly going to skyrocket in the coming year. The rise in unethical surveillance technology is a growing concern. Here you have the development of tools and systems for monitoring people without their consent or knowledge. This technology can include invasive tracking devices, hidden cameras, and software that collects personal data without your permission. There's such a potential for stuff like this to be misused. Some would argue, most would probably argue, that it very much already is being misused. Governments, corporations, everyday individuals have a greater access to personal information than ever and could use it for purposes that violate ethical standards. Unwarranted spying on individuals, mass data collection without consent. Just look at all the ads you get on Google just based on things you've talked about with a friend. It's creepy. Or, the use of surveillance to discriminate or target specific groups could even be a thing. The consequences of unethical surveillance technology can be pretty severe. It could lead to breaches of personal privacy, erosion of trust, and potential harm to individuals and society as a whole. At our number 7 spot, we have a change in Earth's orbit. Now we're getting into some of the more outlandish predictions, but I'm here for it, and so are you, because you're watching me talk about it. Now, as to exactly what degree the orbit is predicted to change or how, it's uncertain, but this could obviously have some pretty dramatic consequences. Our planet is in a very fine balance, and even just the slightest change could throw things off completely. Could see huge disasters hit the planet, and again, one of Baba's big 2024 predictions is a higher level of natural disasters, so maybe they come about as a result of this shift. If Earth were to move closer to the sun, you would see a huge spike in temperatures and radiation at the other end of the spectrum, too far from the sun, and we could easily have another ice age on our hands, like the likes of which would be worse than the Earth has ever seen. Speaking of the sun though, at number 6 we have the solar storm. Baba Vanga predicted that we would experience a terrible solar storm in 2024, the worst in history. Solar storms occur when bursts of energy are emitted from the sun, releasing electrical charges, magnetic fields, and radiation out into the solar system. Usually these storms don't greatly affect us here on Earth, but if one happened to be particularly massive, it could have some pretty severe consequences. Technology could be disrupted, there could be massive blackouts, and if these were bad enough to cause lasting damage, it could lead to the economic issues she also predicted, as well as chaos, as people have become pretty reliant on technology and electrical power in our everyday lives. Some of you are definitely not old enough to remember the massive Northeast blackout of 2003, but it was pretty freaky. It affected 55 million people in 8 US states and parts of Ontario, Canada. It was hard to keep food cool. The subway system was of course down. People were, lighting candles and like reading. Honestly, some of it was kind of nice, a time to pause and actually reflect on how much we take everyday necessities for granted while actually going out and doing stuff besides watching TV into the late hours of the night. But had it gone on longer, things could have started getting bad very quickly. Coming in at number 5, we have bioweapons research. According to the Nostradamus of the Balkans, there will be some very dark research taking place in regards to bioweapons. As to where this research will take place, it isn't specified, just that a big country will be carrying out the research in the form of unethical experimentation on people. These experiments could lead to the loss of life on a huge scale. Now, of course, this would all be going on in secret, so verifying something like this could prove to be a bit of a difficult task. Biological warfare has to be one of the scariest forms of warfare out there to me. It's something you just don't see coming, almost impossible to fight against, causing mass hysteria in its wake. Definitely hope this one it doesn't come true, along with everything else on this list, obviously, but especially this one. Next up, we have a really weird one with the end of births. This is some of the sillier stuff that makes me much more skeptical of all the other predictions Baba Vanga has made. Apparently, 2024 will see a full-on end to natural births. That's quite a bold prediction. Hard to see this one coming to fruition within the next year. Distant future? Possibly, but not anytime soon. Apparently there could be a ban on natural births, with humans being grown in labs instead. Gene editing technology could come into play here, a technology that's well into development already, allowing parents to choose what genetic traits their child would be born with. Again, I have a hard time seeing this one play out anytime soon. Gene editing, sure, but an outright ban on natural births? I don't know. At least not on a global scale. Then again though, maybe she wasn't talking about it happening on a global scale. Maybe this will only affect one country, for example. At number 3, we have augmented humans. 2024 is predicted to see a rise in technology that allows human beings to replace parts of their body with cybernetic implants. We already have technology like this, and it's great for people who were born without important body parts or lost them, but this type of technology also has the potential to get out of hand. When we start integrating technology into our bodies, there are concerns about privacy and security. Imagine if hackers could like access your augmented body parts, or if the data from these enhancements was exploited somehow, it could lead to identity theft or other malicious activities. There's also the risk of inequality. Everyone might not have access to these enhancements, creating a divide between those who can afford them and those who can't. This would only make that gap between the haves and have-nots even wider. Another concern is dependence on technology. If we were to start relying too much on these enhancements, we might lose some of our natural abilities and skills. What if the technology fails or becomes obsolete? We could find ourselves in a pretty vulnerable position. Ethical questions arise as well. What happens when we enhance our cognitive abilities? Will it create unfair advantages in education or out in the job world? And when it comes to physical enhancements, should athletes be allowed to use them in sports? There are some deep philosophical dilemmas here. When we merge with machines, what does it even mean to be a human? Might lose touch with our humanity or create a society where being normal means having artificial enhancements. It's a lot to think about. And at number 2, we have the environmental destructor. Yeah, that doesn't sound very nice. Sounds like some sort of comic book superweapon that instantly freezes anything in its path. Well, apparently that's exactly what it is, except this won't happen in a comic book, it'll happen in real life. Yeah, we're getting kooky here again, but I'm just gonna embrace it and imagine that this could actually be a thing. According to Baba Vanga, the United States will be caught up in a war resulting in the development of a highly advanced weapon, a weapon that freezes things. I can see the ice-based pun memes now when this thing gets revealed to the public, and then everyone will start protesting that they have the right to have their own high-powered freezing weapon in their own homes, and I'd probably understand it. I'd want one too. Finally, we have the bird virus. Apparently some mysterious illness isn't only going to be potentially hitting human beings in 2024, but the birds as well. What birds? What virus? We don't know, but it could have quite an effect on our planet. Birds play a pretty big role in the ecosystem. If this virus was bad enough, it could spread to other animals as well, predators who eat birds, and maybe even human beings. Or the result of said virus could be zombie-like, get deranged birds swooping down from the sky to exact ruthless aggression against the non-flying animals of the earth. We could have a real-life version of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds on our cybernetic hands, but with all our unethical surveillance, we'd see them coming from miles away anyway, at least. And with our brand new environmental destructor weapons, we could freeze them in midair.
Baba Vanga, the mystic who passed away in '96, left a trail of predictions that still haunt our thoughts. One of her bone-chilling visions involves a big country, quote-unquote, conducting biological weapon tests, or worse, launching biological attacks. A disastrous notion that amplifies global concerns about the misuse of scientific advancements for destructive purposes. The fear of such events isn't unwarranted given the history of warfare and the catastrophic potential of biological weapons. The lack of specifics in Vanga's prediction leaves room for interpretation, stirring unease and raising awareness about the potential consequences of unchecked power and the need for stringent international cooperation. This forecast serves as a warning, urging vigilance and responsible use of scientific progress to prevent any such ominous events from becoming a terrifying reality. At number 9 is designer human beings grown in test tube. You heard me right. Baba Vanga's predictions often send chills down their spines, especially when they hint at unnerving future scenarios. And her 2024 prediction of humans being grown and born in labs is particularly hair-raising. The idea of engineered human beings created in laboratories could imply a future where scientists intervene heavily in human reproduction, possibly altering genetic codes according to paternal desires. The prospect of tweaked genetic levels for customized offspring is quite unsettling. Such predictions blur the lines between natural conception and manufactured life, leading to ethical, moral, and existential questions. Potential for this future raises numerous moral and philosophical concerns about playing with the very fabric of human existence. It's a foreboding prophecy that leaves us with an eerie sense of uncertainty. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. And number 8 is the rise of artificial intelligence. This prediction, particularly revolving around around the acceleration of artificial intelligence due to major quantum computing breakthroughs. The implications of this swift progression raise genuine worries about how it might transcend human control. While advancements in AI offer tremendous potential for scientific breakthroughs and technological marvels, they also pose significant risks. The possibility of AI systems outsmarting human understanding and creating unforeseen consequences remains a valid cause for apprehension. Quantum computing leading the charge, the speed and complexity of AI evolution might surpass our ability to manage it. Vanga's prediction invokes a shared sentiment of caution, urging us to tread carefully in our pursuit of technological advancement to ensure we don't unleash powers beyond our comprehension. At number 7 is economic collapse. Baba Vanga's predictions have sparked concerns. This prediction reflects the ongoing geopolitical tensions and a shift in economic power dynamics. The world could witness a significant transition, transferring economic dominance from the West to the East in her prediction. Such change could trigger widespread economic instability, affecting nations worldwide. Geopolitical conflicts and the redistribution of economic influences might exacerbate existing tensions, potentially leading to severe consequences for the global economy. Fluctuations in trade, financial markets, and international relations impacting the livelihoods of millions. Fear of impending economic crisis due to these shifts is palpable. While predictions are not certainties, the potential outcomes demand attention and proactive measures to navigate possible challenges in the global economic landscape. At number 6 is cyber attacks. The rise in cyber attacks poses a significant danger, particularly targeting crucial infrastructures like power grids and water treatment plants, according to the prediction. Attacks won't just disrupt our daily lives, they could potentially spiral into national security threats. Imagine your access to electricity or clean water suddenly compromised by some malicious hacker's actions. That's pretty crazy. It's not just inconvenient, it's a matter of survival. The vulnerability of these systems is something we often take for granted, but Baba Vanga's prediction serves as a reminder of the real risks we face. The repercussions of such breaches would be catastrophic, affecting not only individuals but entire communities. The need for robust cybersecurity measures is not just an option, but an urgent necessity to avert these terrifying potential scenarios. At number 5 is the assassination of Vladimir Putin. In the realm of Baba Vanga's predictions, the mention of her purported forecast for 2024 has stirred quite the buzz. And among these speculated events, one particularly spine-chilling prophecy involves the demise of Russian President Vladimir Putin. It suggested that Putin, already the subject of various rumors, could face assassination by someone within his own nation. This prediction, if it were to come to fruition, would undoubtedly cause widespread shockwaves across the geopolitical landscape. The implications of such an event are far-reaching and could potentially trigger significant political instability within Russia and reverberate globally. However, while some may find these forecasts alarming, if it were to become a reality, it would be profound and unsettling for many. At number 4 is the rapid orbit alteration. One of the most chilling predictions is an abrupt change in Earth's orbit, leading to severe climate chaos and increased radiation. Imagine repercussions if our planet's path around the sun suddenly shifted. That's some seriously apocalyptic stuff. Climate disruption, more extreme weather, rising sea levels, disrupted ecosystems. This could all be just the tip of the iceberg, not to mention the spike in radiation levels. Whether this prediction holds any truth remains uncertain, but the idea alone is terrifying. At number 3 is the European attacks. The ominous prediction of attack in Europe chills the spine of citizens in 2024. The mere mention of such an event sparks fear and concern due to the devastating impact such occurrences have had in the past. It's critical to acknowledge that these predictions can instigate unwarranted anxiety, yet the unpredictability of life's events leaves many pondering the credibility of such forecasts. Potential for unrest and tragedy looms large, reinforcing the importance of vigilance and global cooperation in countering potential threats. While these predictions can rattle our sense of security, they also serve as a reminder to strive for a safer world, fostering unity and preparedness in the face of uncertainty. And number 2 is medical breakthroughs. Now, before we get into our final disturbing premonition, I thought I would at least include something good, that this list is way too doom and gloom. And so, in the realm of ominous predictions, Baba Vanga's 2024 predictions hold a mix of hope and trepidation, particularly in the medical sphere. Her forecast of potential medical breakthroughs could be a beacon of optimism, yet the weight of expectation remains hefty. Notably, her prediction of advancements in treating incurable diseases like Alzheimer's unravel a glimmer of hope for millions affected by these conditions. Equally striking is her assertion of a cancer cure on the horizon. However, it's crucial to maintain a balanced outlook considering the speculative nature of these predictions. While these prognostications spark optimism, they also generate anxiety as humanity braces for the arrival of these supposed breakthroughs, hoping they materialize without instigating unforeseen consequences. And at number 1, aliens, yeah. Baba Vanga, the mystic known for eerie predictions, supposedly forecasted some unsettling events in 2024, and among these, the idea of planet-invading aliens directing an asteroid towards Earth is downright terrifying. Though we've heard these claims before, the anticipation and dread of such a scenario can feel uncomfortably real. The fear stems from the uncertainty. We have no real control over these cosmic events. And Baba Vanga's predictions have in the past sparked curiosity and fear due to their occasional accuracy. While many remain skeptical, the prospect of extraterrestrial forces manipulating space objects towards our planet lingers as a haunting possibility. We're left in a state of trepidation, hoping that these prophecies will remain as a mere speculation, fading into the pages of history rather than becoming a horrifying reality. It's a chilling thought, one that we can only hope stays confined to the realm of unsettling prophecy.
Is an alien invasion. So, starting us off about as far into conspiracy land as I possibly can, because why not? According to the famous blind seer Baba Vanga, it's not just typical human wars that we should be worried about this year, but the invasion of an evil alien species as well. Now, there are many different conspiracy theories surrounding the existence of aliens to begin with. Among believers, some think they are harmless, while others think they are dangerous, and there's even a third sort of faction that suggests there is obviously more than one race of aliens, so both dangerous and peaceful could exist in our universe. Now, putting aside the theories surrounding if aliens are dangerous or not, according to Baba Vanga, this year we will be invaded by a race of bloodthirsty monsters that will tragically result in the end of all humankind. If that's all true, it would mean that 2023 would be the last year we all have, as again, she predicts aliens will wipe out the human race and take over the planet Earth. I mean, there is very little we can use to verify the validity of this statement, but you can sure hope I am praying it is not true, because, well, I just don't want to die. Now, all that being said, Baba Vanga did also predict that the world won't end until like 5079, so there might be a bit of breathing room on this one. However, if this does all end up to be true, would the government know about their impending arrival and be preparing for such a disaster? I mean, I just have so many questions. Let's just hope this one misses the mark and does not come true. Next up at number 9, a star explosion. Although the exact date is not specified, according to the Mystic Vanga, one unsuspecting day in 2023, people will be going about their usual daily business when all of a sudden, without any warning, the sky will become frighteningly illuminated by a blinding flash of light. But it won't be lightning or some power outage. Instead, she predicts that a massive star will explode, sending down a terrifying shower of sparks and debris across the globe. To make it even worse, Baba Vanga foresees that the explosion will be so bright that it will be seen from every corner of the globe, lighting up the night sky for an insane 5 years. But apparently the phenomenon is going to be so alarming that astronomers and scientists will rush to study it, only to find that it is unlike any other solar explosion to date. And the star's blast will be so powerful that it will cause the very fabric of time and space to ripple and bend. So if Baba Vanga is correct, then the entire concept of time and space could cease to exist as we know it from now until 2028. I sure as hell hope not. Coming in at number 8. No more money. Sometimes when I read these predictions, I wonder just how many bad things could possibly have been foreseen to exist in one calendar year. And apparently on top of an alien invasion and the end of time and space as we know it, Vanga also predicts that in 2023, the concept of money as we now use and understand it will come to a complete and utter halt. Now, I know it's hard to imagine how our world would function without currency, as literally everything revolves around it. But if you think about it a little
little less literally, we are already seeing the beginnings of this. Cash is virtually on its way out, and everyone pays for everything with their cards, their phone, or even their watch. Plus, with the addition of cryptocurrencies, who knows how long the idea of currency as we currently understand and use it will remain. However, just like most things, this could go in two vastly separate directions. On one hand, she could mean something along the lines of what I just said earlier, and no more money means a shift in how we use currency. But it could also mean that there's some kind of economical collapse, and so the concept of currency at all becomes obsolete, and that would be insane. Coming in at number 7, a bird epidemic. Among the other catastrophic predictions Vanga believes will come true between now and the end of the year is a deadly bird virus that could potentially be so widespread that nearly all species will be at risk of extinction. The virus, transmitted through the air and contaminated water sources, will strike quickly and with devastating effects. Within weeks, entire flocks will be wiped out, and the once common sight of birds soaring through the sky will become so rare that they will almost feel like an urban legend. As the virus spreads, scientists will scramble to find a cure, but despite their efforts, the virus will prove to be unstoppable, and the birds as we know them will cease to exist. Now, this would be devastating for many reasons because, well, our planet needs all the species it has to work properly, and the loss of every single bird on the planet all at once would cause major issues for not only the population of creatures the bird eats, but it would likely also cause an overnight collapse of the farming industry. I mean, just think how much money people make off of chickens and turkeys alone. So, for obvious reasons, let's hope this one missed the mark. Next up at number 6, bioweapons. Now, if this list of hypothetical catastrophic 2023 events hasn't scared you much just yet, then this one just might. According to Vanga, in 2023, there will be a big country that will carry out bioweapon studies on humans, which would have horrifying consequences. For those who don't know, bioweapons are essentially bacteria or diseases that are used in an effort to harm and kill people in an act of war. Now, the good news is that many large countries like Canada, US, and the UK have a complete ban on these type of experiments, but there are other countries around the world that could still be the culprit. But who knows, if other 2023 predictions are true, countries could pull out of the treaty and begin conducting experiments to try and make it out alive. The consequences of the release of bioweapons could be detrimental and has the potential to wipe out the whole planet if we aren't careful. Coming in at number 5, a nuclear explosion. Among her many other foresights for 2023, Vanga also warned that sometime this year a nuclear power plant will explode, causing irreparable damage. Now, to be fair, this has happened before, and so the idea of it happening again, while incredibly frightening, doesn't seem like her most outlandish prediction. Plus, there are certain countries who are at war with others that possess the power to cause such a disaster. Now, what's especially spooky about Vanga is that she has a wild success rate, 85% in fact, according to scientists that have studied her predictions. So it has many wondering if this prediction will fall into that 85% success rate along with Chernobyl and her own death date, or if it will be among the 15% that she has missed. For the sake of our planet, I'm crossing my fingers that this is not something we will be faced with for the last half of this year. Coming in at number 4, a solar tsunami. As if the predictions for 2023 haven't been through enough already, there is a dark end of world prediction that there will be a solar storm on a scale never seen before. Now, solar storms happen when a burst of energy is released from the sun, and this sends electrical charges and radiation hurling towards the Earth. While that does sound a bit freaky, it actually happens all the time, like the Northern Lights, for example. But what Vanga was predicting is more along the lines of complete and utter worldwide blackout, followed by technological failures and overall global panic. Quite literally, she is describing a dark age. If her prediction is true, it would essentially cause complete societal collapse, and truthfully, who knows what happens from there. Coming in at number 3. a change in orbit. Next up on the dark predictions Baba Vanga has in store for the year of 2023 is that apparently our Earth will change its orbit. Now the details of how this would even happen were not given, but if it turns out to be true, we are in for some serious issues. For starters, any shift in the Earth's orbit could bring devastating damages to sea level and our climate, both of which aren't particularly thriving to begin with at the moment, and even worse, if the Earth moved any closer to the sun, the increased radiation and temperatures would cause a complete breakdown. Essentially, any changes to the Earth's orbit would send us into complete and full mayhem and would very much be the end of the world, which, you know, is frankly not how I would like to spend the rest of my year. Coming in at number 2. Cyborgs. Along with the death of all birds, a nuclear explosion, a solar tsunami, and even an alien invasion, this year we will also see a revolutionary new technology being developed that will promise to change how humans live forever. Baba Vanga says this cyborg system, if you will, is going to be a groundbreaking development that allows people to replace their natural bodies and organs with artificial ones, making them part human and part machine. Now, not all of this is incredibly far off to believe. I mean, we already make prosthetic limbs for people and so on, but I think it depends on what things we start replacing and how much of the body becomes a robot that determines the sort of post-apocalyptic feel of it. So like with many things, in the right hands this could be a good advancement to medicine, but in the wrong hands it could very much look like a dystopian wasteland ruled by robot overlords. And last up in our number 1 spot today is lab births. Almost like some weird cousin to The Handmaid's Tale, Vanga's most terrifying prediction for 2023 is a dystopian world where we will see the end of natural human births. Specifically, that birth, the way we have been doing it since the beginning of time, will be banned. She claims to foresee that the government will make it the law that all life must be created in a lab, and that medical experts would essentially decide how many people are born a year, and that parents would be able to customize their traits and appearances even. Now, this prediction doesn't come totally out of left field, as we do have the capabilities to involve science in the process to a much higher degree than ever before. A while back, an article was circulating about a real-life human boy named Adam, who was created in a lab from stem cells and grown in an artificial gestational sac for 36 weeks, and it caused quite the uproar. Now, this article was proved to be totally fake, but the entire idea of it was believable at the time and certainly made many people very uncomfortable. Could it be something that comes true in the future? I mean, maybe? I just hope if medicine does advance in that way, it does not also outlaw non-lab created humans.
Want to see more videos like this one? It's about military experiments that the government tried to hide and bury deep down. Click the video now to find out more. See you in the next video.